Hello everyone, this is just going to be a slight overview of what we are going to be solving today, and we are going to be breaking down Algebra 1, Unit 1, which is linear modeling, analyzing and also evaluating functions, and I'll also explain each concept step by step and work through examples so you can solve these problems with confidence. So let's jump right in. Okay, solve y equals 3x plus 2 when x equals 3. Okay, so we're gonna plug in x equals 3 right over here. So it's gonna be y equals 3 parentheses 3 plus 2. Okay, so 3 times 3 is 9 and 2. So 9 plus 2 is 11. And our answer gonna be y equals 11. And that's gonna be our final answer for this equation. Okay, what about f of x equals 3x plus 2 when x equals 3. So this f of x and y actually mean the same exact thing, and they are also asking you to do the same exact thing as well. So you can also consider this as a y as well. And f of x would be 3. Right over here you can plug in that. And 3x and plug in the 3 plus 2. So 3 times 3 is going to be 9 plus 2, and f of 3 is going to equal 11. And that's going to be your final answer. Notice how they have the same answer. So basically they mean the same exact thing. And it's called function notation, and it's just like a new name which is given for a function. And often math has a variety of ways to say the same exact thing, but all of these notations are equivalent. Okay, now let's try to solve these problems down here below. Okay, so g of negative 10. Okay, so g would match right over here, and we can start solving already. So g of negative 10 equals negative 3, and plug in the negative 10 right over here, plus 1. Okay, negative 3 times negative 10 is going to be positive 30. 30 plus 1. And g of negative 10 is going to equal 31. And that's going to be your answer for this. Okay, now let's try the other equation. So now it gives you a f. Okay, so it matches right over here. Okay, so f of negative 2 equals, okay, so this is an exponent. So you're going to plug in negative 2 squared plus 7. Okay, so negative 2 times negative 2 would be, negative exponent, it would be negative 4 plus 7. And f of negative 2 would equal 3. And that's going to be your answer for this certain equation. And it's actually really easy to solve this. Okay, j. Okay, so it matches the equation right over here. Okay, so let's write j over here and plug in the 6, and it equals 2 parentheses 6 plus 9. Okay, so 2 times 6 is going to be 12. So bring down the 9 right over here, 12 plus 9, and 12 plus 9 is gonna be 21. And that's gonna be your answer for this equation. Okay, let's go to D. Okay, F. Okay, so it matches right over here. Okay, so we are gonna put F of 4 equals, okay, 4 squared plus 7. Okay, so 4 squared is gonna be 16. So 16 plus 7. So f of 4 is gonna equal 23. And that's gonna be your final answer for all of these. Okay everyone, let's go right over to the graph. Okay, so you would be asking how would we solve this? So basically, as you can see, this would be the y, but you can actually do the opposite instead, and you're going to consider the x-axis. Okay, so how do we find the answer to this? So f of 0. Okay, so even though it's y, we had to do the opposite. So x, this is the x-axis, and okay, let's find 0. 0 is right over here, and it goes right down over here, like wherever it lands on the line segment. And look, it is landed on -1, and the answer for this would be -1. Okay, so f of 2, you would also consider the x-axis for this as well. So if we search right over here, we would find 2 right over here, and you can go up to meet the line, and you would find 1, and that would be your answer for this, and it would be 1. Okay, what about this equation? So we know that this is like the x, but we're going to switch it to y instead. So we're going to have to find 1. 1, where is 1? On the y-axis. 1 is right over here, and you also see that it also lands right over here in -1, and your answer would be -1 over here as well. Okay, so what about this? F of 2 and f minus f of 1. Okay, I'm gonna put the minus symbols right over here. Okay, f of x, we are gonna switch to x. Okay, find it on the x-axis. So 2, okay, would be 1. And then for 1, you would have to find it right over here, the point. And it would be 0. And for this, you just had to do subtraction right over here, and it would be just 1. And that would be your answer for this. So yeah, it's actually really simple and really easy to do. Let's scroll down. Okay, so we see these other equations, and we are gonna evaluate these equations using this equation too. Like, we're gonna use that function. Okay guys, so let's do this. So we are gonna plug in f of -5 equals 8 parentheses -5 plus 15. Okay, f of -5 equals -40. Since 8 times -5, it's going to be -40, and you're going to bring down 15 right over there, and then your final answer would be -25, and this is going to be the answer for this equation, -25 right over here. Okay, now let's move on to the second equation. Okay, so it says f of 27. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing as before, but with a different number. Okay, equals 8, 27 plus 15. Okay, guys, so we are going to be getting f of 27. So 8 times 27 is going to be 216 plus 15, and then you're going to have to add them up, and 216 plus 15 would be 231. And that's going to be your final answer for this equation, 231. Okay, what about the third equation? Okay, so we're gonna have to put the 55 right over here, 5 of x, and then plug in this equation, and it's gonna be 8x plus 15. So this one is a little different, since it says f of x equals 55. So as you know, it's the y, right? So we're just gonna plug in it right over here, 55. So we're just going to solve this as a normal equation. -15 to both sides, cancel this side, and then we're going to be left with 40 equals 8x, as we got the 8 right down below. And we're gonna divide 8, cancel the 8, and we're gonna be left with x equals 5. And that's gonna be your answer. Yeah. Okay, what about this next equation? Well, it's actually pretty similar to the one that we did right over here. Okay, so we're gonna plug in 151 equals 8x plus 15, and we are gonna lead with so we are gonna do negative 15 to both sides, and they cancel out, and we are going to be left with 136 equals 8x, as we brought the 8 right down there below, and then divide by 8 from both sides, and your final answer is going to be x equals 17, and that's going to be your answer. Yeah, so this is really easy so far. Ooh, now what about these two equations right over here? Okay, guys, so you know, like the graph that we did earlier, right? So it's like the last equation that it had. It's kind of similar. Okay, so we are gonna plug in, and we are gonna have to do both sides, like two equations at once. I'll also put a line right over here so it can separate the two equations. And 8 of 2 plus 15, and 8 parenthesis negative 1, plus 15. Okay, so 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 plus 15 is going to be 31, and negative 8 plus 15 is going to be 7. So we're going to do 31 plus 7 is going to be 38, and that's going to be our final answer for this. Pretty simple, huh? Yeah. Okay, so let's do it for this last equation. Okay, guys, so we're going to write 8 parenthesis 0 plus 15, and right over here we're going to write 8 parenthesis 3 plus 15. Okay, so 8 times 0 is just going to be 0. 0 plus 15 is going to be 15. Okay, so 8 times 3 is going to be 24. So 24 plus 15 is going to be 39. Okay, so as you can see here, we have to subtract. So I'm going to write it right down below. So 15 minus 39 would equal negative 24. And that would be a final answer. Thank you so much for watching.